The Western media continues singing the praises of the HIMARS. These are the multiple launch rocket systems the US sent to Ukraine. They've sent 12 so far. They're going to send another 4, a total of 16. And we continue hearing about how they are a game changer, how they're going to turn the tide of the battle in Ukraine's favor, even though the Western media has been claiming that Ukraine's been winning all along. Nonetheless, the HIMARS are a game changer. This is what the Western media is saying. And this is from the Wall Street Journal. US HIMARS helped to hold off Russian advance, Ukraine says. And yet we know that that's not true. Russian forces continue to advance in the northern Donbas region. They're up to the Seversk, Bakhmut defense line. They are working their way through it. And once they do, they're going to advance to Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. And this is what Russian forces have been doing since the end of February. They focus on these defense lines, they wear them down, they overrun them, and then they advance to the next defense line. That's what's going on. The HIMARS have done nothing to stop this process. Yet the Western media continues putting out articles like this. There's also articles like this. This is from France 24. Can US supplied HIMARS be a game changer for Ukraine? And the article says the HIMARS' effectiveness in the coming battle for the Donbas will be determined by the choices made by the Ukrainians in its use and their ability to prevent the Russians from finding it. At this point, the HIMARS is a massive threat to the Russian advance in the east, but only time will tell if it will stay that way. And it is not a massive threat to the Russian advance in the east, and Russian forces, they're already finding these systems and destroying them, just like they've been doing to every other heavy weapon system Ukraine has had. From the ones that they started the conflict out with, to the ones the US and its allies have been sending them to replace all the heavy weapons that have been lost since the start of this conflict. There's this Reuters article. Russia says it destroyed 4 HIMARS launchers in claim denied by Ukraine. And the article says Russia's defense ministry said on Friday its forces had destroyed 4 US-supplied high-mobility artillery rocket systems, HIMARS, in Ukraine earlier this month. So over the course of less than a month, 4 of these launchers have been destroyed, also a support vehicle. Yet I keep hearing people say, people in the media, people in the comment section, they continue to say, even if they just have a small handful of these HIMARS, it's still a highly effective weapon. It is a capability that Russia does not have. These rockets fire 80 kilometers. They're extremely precise. Russia doesn't have anything like them. As a matter of fact, there's this Guardian article, HIMARS, what are the advanced rockets US is sending Ukraine? And in this article, it says, the HIMARS can hit Russian targets up to 80 kilometers away, helping to even the playing field. Both Ukraine and Russia already operate MLRS, but HIMARS has superior range and precision. Is that true? As a matter of fact, that is not true. Russia has systems that not only match HIMARS, they surpass HIMARS. And, you know, it's not even Russian sources saying this. It's Western sources. You have to dig for this information, but it is there. And this is an article all the way back from March. It's from Janes. Janes is a UK-based defense publisher. They're considered highly reputable across the West. Ukraine conflict. Russian forces employ guided rockets. The HIMARS employs guided rockets. Now, Russian forces are employing guided rockets. Jane says, evidence is emerging from the conflict in Ukraine, appearing to show that Russian forces are utilizing guided rockets. The 9M544 and the 9M549, with video and photographs of the remains of these types appearing across social media. Then James talks about the capabilities of these Russian guided rockets. Now we know the HIMARS can fire up to 80 kilometers. How far can this Russian guided rocket fire? It says it can fire up to 120 kilometers. That's 50% further than the GMLRS munitions the US and its allies are sending Ukraine. The article also says, and they're talking about the launcher now. This is the launcher that fires these Russian guided rockets. The Tornado S is a deep upgrade to the BM30 Smerch MLR system, which it will eventually replace. The BM30 is a family of 300mm MRLs designed to provide indirect fires in depth and in support of large combined arms operations. The family is based on a common chassis, a modified MAZ-54-3M 8x8 cross-country truck, which gives off-road mobility. It is designed for independent operations and can conduct so-called shoot and scoot tactics. Now, a Russian source, TASS, which is actually Russian state media, they were talking about the Tornado S also. There was actually a unit, a brigade, being equipped with the Tornado S. And it talks about how it carries 12 rockets, and each rocket can be given a different flight assignment. You can fire the rockets one at a time, or you could fire them all off all in one go. And there's a retired US artillery expert that I was just talking to about this, and he referred to the Tornado S as basically a multiple launch tactical ballistic missile system. So it's a play on MLRS because there's 12 of them. They could all be given different targets and they could all be sent with a very high degree of precision to those targets. If you read the Jane's article, they talk about how the error for accuracy is between 5 to 10 meters. That is the same for the HIMARS. So it is as accurate as the rocket's HIMARS fires, but it can fire them further, 50% further. And the HIMARS, to my knowledge, fires 6 rockets. The Tornado S fires 12. Now, to give you an idea of just how many of these Tornado S launchers Russia might possibly have, Janes says, Russia deploys the Tornado S system or complex in brigades of 4 battalions. Battalion consists of 3 batteries with 4 launchers in each. Accompanying each launcher is the 9T2342 transloader vehicle based on the MAZ-54-3A 8x8 chassis, and this carries 12 rounds and is equipped with a crane, so a loading truck. And so Janes is saying brigades with an S, but even just one brigade would have 48 launchers, and that's more than double what the US and all of its allies have pledged in total for MLRSs. So again, not only is the Tornado S a more capable system than HIMARS, there's just many, many more of them. Janes also notes that in addition to these guided rockets, the Tornado S can launch other types of rockets, including high explosive fragmentation rockets, anti-armor rockets. There's ones that lay mines out over a specific area. And all of these rockets have a range of around 90 kilometers. So it's still firing further than HIMARS. So again, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. If the type of attack that the HIMARS and the M270 can carry out for Ukraine, if that type of attack can win a war, Russia is going to win the war much sooner. They have many more of these types of launchers. Their launchers are more capable than the HIMARS and the M270s. They can fire further. They've got a wider range of rockets they can fire, and they just have many more of these rockets. And there's another advantage that the Tornado S has over the HIMARS and the M270s. This is a system that Russia has had for years. It's built on the same type of platform as the Smerch with what Russia has had this for many, many years. And the crews are all familiar with it. The command is all familiar with it. They operate in well-organized units that have been built up over years and have been training and have experience spanning many years. They also have mechanics and technicians who are well-versed in repairing these systems. They have warehouses full of spare parts to send to repair them. They have factories that make these, and they have a relatively short logistical network from the factories, from the warehouses to the front line versus the United States, its factories, its warehouses, and the front line in Ukraine. So when you think about it, the Tornado S is superior in terms of specifications. It's also superior in terms of better trained troops operating it. They're operating in larger numbers, and they're supported by much better trained and well-developed units supporting it. It's great that Janes wrote this article in March and that they shared this information about the Tornado S with the Western public. The Western media could have seen that information. It's on the internet for everyone to see, but they skipped past it. They didn't talk to any Western military experts about, what type of system does Russia have that compares to the HIMARS? Is it the same? Is it better? Is it worse? If they asked, they would have been told that the Tornado S exists. It exists in greater numbers. It's more capable. And then when it was time for the Western media to talk about the HIMARS and the M270s going to Ukraine, the story could have been put in the proper context of the futility this aid represents, rather than trying to convince the public that it's a wonder weapon that's going to change the tide of the conflict. It is not. It's giving people false hope, including the people in Ukraine. And again, people might say, well, what are you saying, Brian? Are you saying that Ukraine should just give up? Is that what you're saying? Should they just surrender their sovereignty to Russia? And as I've said before, Ukraine already surrendered its sovereignty to the United States in 2014. When the US overthrew the elected Ukrainian government in 2014, installed the client regime in its place, serving US interests, not Ukrainian interests, at the cost of Ukrainian interests, specifically to trigger a proxy war with Russia that would lead to the destruction of Ukraine that we're watching unfold right now. Ukraine already lost its sovereignty. If they want their sovereignty back, they need to take it back from the United States. And they need to end this war as soon as possible to preserve what is left of their country. Every day that goes by, they will lose more of their country. And you cannot blame Russia for this. What the current regime in Ukraine since 2014 has done is deliberately transform Ukraine into a threat to Russia's national security, done on behalf of US interests. Russia has to react to this, and they are reacting to it, and they won't stop until Ukraine comes to the negotiation table and ends this war. The Western media is lying. They're lying about what these systems the US and its allies are sending to Ukraine can do. They're not telling you that Russia has better systems that not only perform better, but they outnumber the US systems and European systems. They outnumber them on the battlefield. They outperform them and outnumber them on the battlefield. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to dig for this information and share it with you, even if you don't like the truth. At least you will know the truth, and you won't be made a fool of by buying into these narratives the Western media is selling. They are complicit in perpetuating this war for as long as possible, and more importantly, for as long as profitable. There are a lot of interests, special interests in the West, making a fortune off of this conflict, and they don't care how it ends. They will make money either way. Just keep all of that in mind. If you actually care about Ukraine, the Ukrainian people, think about what's actually best for them, not what's best for your ego, the West's collective ego, or the bottom lines of arms manufacturers in the US and across Europe. If you thought this video was useful, please like and share. Think about subscribing. It helps the channel grow. It's totally free to do. Check the video description below for other places you can find and follow my work, especially if you're watching this on YouTube. All of my videos on YouTube are automatically uploaded to Odyssey and Rumble. And if I ever get kicked off of YouTube for some reason, I will be uploading my videos on Rumble and Odyssey instead. I'm also on Telegram, which is a good alternative for Twitter and Facebook, which I'm already suspended from permanently. So you can find and follow my work there. I update that several times a day. In the video description below, you'll find the links to everything that I just referenced, as well as to ways you can help support my work. You can do that through Buy Me a Coffee, through Patreon, and also through PayPal. And to everyone who has been helping out, whether it's month to month, one-time donations, or even if you're just helping share my work with others, I greatly appreciate that. I could not do this work without that support. So thank you. And as always, thank you for watching.